The concern was, bro, we knew the time we were putting into Raw, and we took great pride in that show. How are you going, if you add another show, now it's impossible to have the same quality that you're having weekly with Raw because there just aren't enough hours in the day.
Let's go broing down memory lane, ladies and gentlemen. So speaking of second brands, or in this case, third brands, but SmackDown was the second brand. WWF Raw at the time was a flagship show for WWE. Of course, before that, we had, superstars and so forth, and with Gorilla and Bobby the Brain Heenan, the televised, the recordings from the studio. That was the feel for wrestling. And then we got the live audience, and then we got the taped audience, and it became the live audience. That momentum basically spearheaded what we see today in television. SmackDown was an offshoot of that momentum, and then debuted as an episodic television show in 99. If I'm not mistaken, there was a pilot in 98, right?
I want to talk about the pilot real fast. I don't know if Papa Vince remembers it. How far in advance was the pilot filmed, or was it just like how they normally do TV? Was it a Tuesday and they aired it on a Thursday and just turned it on?
Bro, I honestly don't remember. I wish I could tell you.
And here's the thing about that pilot that, man, dude, we never got the payoff when Shawn Michaels super kicked the Rock and the people over. That was
special ref. Yeah, special guest ref. Yeah.
You guys got some memory. I don't remember that.
On. He called it down the middle, super kick. And there was like that moment we were thinking, dude, are we going to see the Rock and Shawn Michaels? Because that would be dope.
That would have been really interesting. I heard that the Rock didn't want to work with Shawn. I heard
that was old Shawn, though. That was before,
Yeah, that was BC Shawn, indeed. Yes.
Vegan Shawn.
Yes, indeed. Vince. So with SmackDown, give us the backstage origins and just creation, and how was SmackDown formed, and why was it? Why did you feel, or why did the WWE execs as a whole, the WWE brass feel as it was necessary that time? I believe August of '99 is when it debuted. Why was that time just like, hey, this is the time to do a second show?
Bro, same reason why Raw is 3 hours. Greed. Bro, the WWE, literally bastardized their property, their program for money. I mean, that's what they did. And that was the concern of myself and Ed Ferrara. The concern was, bro, we knew the time we were putting into Raw, and we took great pride in that show. How are you going, if you add another show, now it's impossible to have the same quality that you're having weekly with Raw because there just aren't enough hours in the day. It was an impossibility. That was our concern. We wanted to make sure SmackDown was going to be just as good as Raw. Bro, how was that even going to be possible? How was that even going to be possible? And bro, like, come on, everyone knows they bastardized Raw to get that third hour. And they've been paying for it ever since. And in the process, bro, they lost millions and millions of fans because the product really suffered.
But they made so much money, and it's just a catch-22, and it sucks.
Yeah. So the pilot
hold on, EC3. Hold on. Let's go down that road for a second.
Go ahead, Vince.
Bro, if you need the money, that's one thing. If you need the money, bro, if you're Dixie Carter and TNA, and all of a sudden somebody's coming to the table with millions of dollars, you're taking it and you're bastardizing your Aunt Tilly. They didn't need the money, bro. Let's be honest. They didn't need the money.
Dude, quality is missing in all aspects of life and culture and entertainment for money at this point, where there is nothing original. Everything's a remake or a reboot or garbage take on something that was, well done in the past. That's why I'm like so turned off by entertainment. Like I'd rather read a book. Like I'm gonna read The Godfather book. That's my next book, and it's like one of the greatest movies of all time. I hear the book's even better. Like entertainment's so bad, I'm reading books.
Well, hey, that's old school right there. It's reading books. So the SmackDown pilot episode was April of '99. The debut was August of '99. Why the 4-month gap there as far as just SmackDown pilot versus SmackDown episodic debut? What was the point of the 4-month gap there?
I would have to guess, bro. First, they had to, wait for the numbers to come in, examine the numbers. Is this worth doing a show? And then I'm assuming the majority of that time was negotiation.
Gotcha.
I mean, that's what I'm assuming. Then, bro, you've got to get the sets built. You got to get all that stuff made. That stuff takes time, man.
They were always on like that third tier kind of broadcast network, right? When they were
UPN, wasn't it?
And then CW.
CW, yeah. Now it wasn't like My Network TV or something like that. They were on too for a hot second.
Something like that.
Something.
Yeah. Vince, did it have any type of inspiration from Thunder? Did
I'm sure it did. I'm absolutely. And bro, the question is, did that really come from the network or from Vince? That's the question. That I don't know. Was it the network looking to take advantage like Nitro did, or did Vince see that model? Meanwhile, Eric will tell you to this day, Thunder was the biggest mistake WCW made. And I agree with him because, bro, you're watering down the product.
It seems like the intention was, and it might have always worked if they were able to develop separate brands with different unique storytelling characters and things like that. But no matter what they said and whoever they put in charge was always under the same umbrella and the same two crazy eyes of Vince, that no matter how different they try to be, it wouldn't become different. So nobody was trying to. Thunder was like, is this the same? These are the same guys I saw Monday? Like, never felt like they were trying.
EC3, along those lines, I got a question for you regarding that. So when the merge happened in 2001 and Vince for an episode tried to make WCW a thing, right at the end of Raw, when you had a Book and Bagwell as the main event, and it just totally bombed. If I'm not mistaken, was it Scott Hudson and Arn Anderson as the broadcasters? If I'm not mistaken, yeah. And Arn Anderson never had that color analyst role, and they just kind of threw Arn in there. It was just super weird. What do you think about that from just a production standpoint? Just as a fan, what do you think about that EC3 of them doing that? And Vince, let me go to you after that. You can just tag in right after him.
Like,
why do you think that Vince even allowed the possibility of showcasing WCW? I'll start with you, East.
I think he allowed it, but he didn't allow it. He did his version of what he thought it was in his head. And if you're totally tuned out of something, or you don't understand something, or you never see something, whatever the perception you have of it is the vision you have. So, it's going to be WCW, but we're in a Raw ring, This is Raw. This is one match. Like, you just put different people out there and different wrestlers. It's like, it's watered down. It's not real. It's not what it really was. So it didn't feel like it. It felt just like somebody who had no idea what they were doing, putting things out there and stamping something because he bought a new logo. Match move. It was hard too because Booker was on the come up, but he wasn't the household name yet. Like, so he was very popular within, the dwindling WCW audience, and we all wanted him. We talked about the match with Hogan, I think, a couple weeks ago, and then Buff was never a main eventer or a top guy, but he looked jacked. But like, I don't know, as far as the talent, he was always a mid-card guy that did his mid-card roles really well. So to throw him in the main event, kind of like, I don't think Buff would have understand the seriousness of the moment per se, where the brand is dependent on me, he would just do what he knows, which is, flexing and just move. And then, you don't wrestle for 6 months. You get thrown out there in a 15-minute TV match with a commercial break. Bro, you blow up. It's impossible not to if you're not in ring shape. And there's no way to get in ring shape other than being in the ring. So it's not like those guys are going to a performance center and working out the rust and working on conditioning. They're so talented at that point too, that the aspect of practicing wrestling it's not that it's beneath them. It's just that, we don't know what we're doing. We're pros. We've been doing it for 15 years and all over the world. So it was just a terrible conglomeration of just bad ideas and timing.
Do you think the blow off? Do you think the Buff Bagwell blow up against Book and then that leading to the segment where he gets basically kicked out of the building? Do you think Vince called an audible there because of seeing the match and saying, I hate this. Who is this guy? You know what I mean? Like, if your goal was to showcase WCW by having Buff and Bagwell, either you're trying to sabotage it or you saw the match and you're like, oh, no, heck no, this isn't going on. Let's go ahead and write them off.
Here's the thing, too, for up and coming independent wrestlers that I'll be teaching at the CYN Co-op in Cleveland, Ohio. So sign up for independent reconditioning. I'll actually make you good. The difference of the WWE eyeballs work style, like they always say there's a WWE style, and it's just like, hitting a couple, like hitting signature moves. You do your 5 moves. The WWE style is very fundamental based, and the in-betweens are what mean everything. And the in-betweens are the first things to go when you're mailing it in for a paycheck in a collapsing company that's paying you a boatload of money. Like you don't care about them. So then to come under the WWE eyes where everyone's they take that seriously, as they should. The business is serious. The matches are serious. Like you're not doing the little things, and you can just see. I'd imagine a guy like Austin or Taker, Shawn, Brock, everyone in the back watching it, like, shaking their head because they know their style and they know their niche, and these are not tangible things a fan can necessarily see until they've been doing it for a long time. So I would say Vince probably called an audible, but then part of me thinks Vince would have just set it up to fail on his own, so he can just continually beat a dead horse. Yeah. Someone dare challenge me and put my back against the wall, I will take their kingdom, I will scorch the earth, and I will and pillage and destroy everything. And then when they're begging for mercy, I will decapitate them. But only after they beg for mercy properly and I pretend I'm going to spare them, but then I'm going to do it anyways because I'm crazy.
Vince, do you agree with that?
He set him up for failure 100%, bro. Bro, listen, I've read enough. I've read enough about the issues that JR was having with Buff Bagwell. That he was having issues with Buff off the bat.
Off, dude.
Bro, they definitely made an example out of him, set him up for failure without a shadow of a doubt. And you know what's sad about that, bro? Listen, we all know Buff's checkered past. We all know it, bro. I get it. I worked with him. I understand. But man, bro, at the same time, you're doing that to Booker T.
Yeah.
Come on. Bro, come on. Wrong guy to do that to, bro.
Yeah.
There's the thing, too, that, like, the etiquette of the locker room backstage, and I would assume WCW had no policing because nobody cared because everyone was disenfranchised with it and just collecting their money and nothing mattered, so they didn't give a hoot or a holler. But then coming into a WWE where the backstage etiquette, it's not like it's bad, it's just they treat it like a professional. But then you would see Buff would probably walk in, and I don't know him, I'm just assuming because he's confident. He's a very confident person, and he's probably cocksure and like, this is business as usual, same thing, showing up at TV, no big deal. Probably has his goofy hat on, tight ass shirt tucked in, rolling his bags, leaving his bags everywhere, like just every little thing you don't know you're doing wrong, and people aren't telling you, no one's smarting you up. Like, hey, Mark, over here we don't do that. Nobody's doing that. They're just letting him bury himself and bury
That's
himself.
what happened with a good friend of mine, bro, and somebody, man, there's a lot of similarities between him and you, EC3. Very young, freaking talented guys. Bro, that's what happened to Mike Sanders.
Yeah.
Really?
Mike Sanders walked into that locker room, didn't know the etiquette, didn't know it. Bro, literally didn't see Triple H, but was in the vicinity of Triple H, never went over and shook Triple H's hand because he never saw him. And that was the end of Mike Sanders.
Well, that's above average. That's
Mike Sanders. That's what thrillers.
Yeah, too. Like you come up from the power plant facility, which is completely different than WWE development system. You get that big push. You're the new blood. You're cock strong, running around, young guns, like making names. Everyone's blowing you up, and you are the future. You're the future. You believe that, and you show up. Yeah, you don't turn your head at the right time. You miss a top guy, and you're done.
Yeah.